This morning, a demolition of a house took place down here. This house belonged to a family with 12 children. As the head of the family tried to approach the inspector on the ground with a hot demolition order, the inspector just ignored it. First he tore it up and then he just started the demolition. Last year it demolished about 70 houses in East Jerusalem. This year, and it's only February, already more than 40 houses have been demolished, including this one.
They say that they want peace between the Palestinian and Israeli peoples. This is all lies. If they want peace between the two nations, they wouldn't demolish a house owned by a poor worker who lives in 2 rooms with a family of 12 members. I'm sending an invitation to the Israeli people to come here and see what is happening on the ground.
Since the founding of the State of Israel in 1948, Israelis and Palestinians have been fighting over the right to live on the land. In 2002, a new era of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict began with the start of construction on a separation wall in the West Bank. While the Israeli government claims that the wall is needed for security reasons, Palestinians see it as a continuation of policies to drive them off their land.
The Israelis say this is a security wall. This is to keep the Palestinian suicide bombers from coming into the Israeli area. There is a little truth in this, but actually most Palestinians believe that this is not a security wall. This wall is to grab more Palestinian land and make it part of the State of Israel. The security is the alibi for grabbing the Palestinian land.
I think when I started to act against the wall and for other things, I didn't know that much about Palestinian society. What I knew was what was happening inside my own society. And I didn't want to live this way. I didn't want to be ashamed to say that I'm Israeli every time that I'm facing a Palestinian Israeli or a Palestinian in the occupied territories or anyone else.
8 years ago, newlyweds William and Wafa Sahuri dreamed of buying a house and starting a family. As their family grew, they bought an apartment in a Greek Orthodox housing project on the outskirts of Bethlehem. But shortly after buying their apartment, they were told that their housing complex was scheduled to be demolished to clear a path for the wall that was to divide Israelis from Palestinians.
The nightmare began when we're new here and we know that they have demolishing orders affected all the project here. The Israelis said that we are building and we build our project here without any permission from the Israeli authorities.
With enough outcry from the Christian community, the Israeli government backed away from the demolition and now plans to encircle the housing complex with a fence.
You imagine that we are living in a small cage with a gate, like the zoo, like prisoners or like the zoo. Just enter and get in and get out through this gate.
We have to get a permission to go through that gate. We can't live a normal life. We only go to work, to school, and come back home. That's it. Even my children, they cannot go anywhere.
The Sahuris are not alone. The path of the wall being built by the Israeli government is affecting countless Palestinians. One United Nations report estimates that approximately 680,000 Palestinians, 30% of the population of the West Bank, will be directly harmed by the wall. Jamal Eid's family lives a few minutes outside of Bethlehem. They've been refugees since 1948, when Israel confiscated their land. With the construction of the wall, they have lost more land.
They started building the wall without informing us legally or informally. The Israeli military bulldozers came and seized the land. I approached them, but they pointed their guns toward me and said, "Back off. This is a military order. If they confiscate your land, You can hire a lawyer and maybe return part of your land. But in this case, no room is left for legal action. They stole the land, and I'm not allowed to pick olives from my trees, and not allowed to plow my land. Establishing two states, a Palestinian state on the 1967 borders, does not exist anymore. There is no 1967 border, only 2003 wall.
The escalation of violence on both sides of the conflict has made the peace process difficult. Suicide bombers claim revenge for attacks by the Israeli Defense Forces. The IDF, in return, invade Palestinian cities, targeting Hamas and Islamic Jihad militants in hopes of deterring suicide bombers. Few would deny Israel the right to protect itself from terrorism, but many question Israel's true motive behind building the wall.
The wall is an outcome of hatred and fear and history and lack of logic and deep horror that surrounds the Israeli society today because of the vicious terrorist attacks on kids, on schools, on coffee houses everywhere, without stopping for 1 second to think and to evaluate really what will this wall do. It will just create more anger, more terror, more catastrophes.
The wall is being built on the Palestinian lands and it's shifted from the 1948 borders that are the green line. It's looping like a snake inside the Palestinian territories, and it's been built near or opposite to the Palestinian built-up area. We see that the wall here, it was planned to grab much of the Palestinian land.
The boundary known as the Green Line was recognized as the border between Israel and the West Bank by the international community in 1949. Thus far, the planned route of the wall disregards the Green Line and dips deep into the occupied territories. In the northern part of the West Bank, in the district of Qalqilia, the path of the wall winds through farmland, separating Israeli settlements from Palestinian villages. While plans for the unbuilt sections of the wall keep changing, it's clear that the route of the completed wall in Qalqilia holds little resemblance to the internationally recognized borders.
The red line is the wall, means the wall. Here.
الخط الأخضر هذا اللي هو حدود 48.
This is the green line in 1948.
This is the city of Qalqilia. The district of Qalqilia depends mainly on agriculture. We can see that it has been closed from all directions and is left with a very little piece of agricultural land around it. It was isolated from its surroundings, and thus it will die.
In the northern part of the West Bank area is considered as the fruit basket for the Palestinians. Now this wall will separate those people from the lands, and the wall will include those fertile lands at the Israeli side.
In my opinion, this is a continuation for the strategy of colonialization and building the settlements inside the West Bank, which they started in since the 70s. And the wall is just the accumulation of this strategy to control the life of the Palestinians and to make them hopeless without future. Actually, this wall is going to control the natural resources the Palestinians could rely on to build their own state and economy.
In response to the emergency water needs in the Palestinian villages, several groups, including Catholic Relief Services and Mennonite Central Committee, have partnered with the Palestinian Hydrology Group. Together, they repair water pipes damaged by the construction of the wall.
We noticed that there is an emergency situation that the Palestinian family is passing through the last few months as a result of the wall. The purpose of the project is to provide help for the Palestinian farmers who are separated from their lands by the separation wall, which the Israelis. We are trying to provide them with the water.
All water resources in this village was taken. We have in Jayus, as I said, 1 million cubic meter of water behind the wall. And now we don't have any drop of water from our resources. For this village also, like many other villages in this district and other districts, more than 75% of our fertile and good land was now either destroyed under the wall or seized behind the wall.
The humanitarian impact on the Palestinian people is devastating. Already the Palestinians suffer from poverty and from economic catastrophe. The wall is going to add to this. When people are denied the right to have a job, when people are denied to get to their farms, when people are denied movement, this means their economy is going to suffer.
These trees were uprooted by the wall. For this farmer, they uprooted more than 70 trees like this. He couldn't bear to see his trees uprooted without doing anything for it. Therefore, he decided to bring them here in front of his house and try to recover them. Unfortunately, this tree was not recovered. We have 550 families here in Jayus. You could have 550 stories from this village.
Assam Khalid is one of the many farmers in the town of Jayus. He comes from a long line of farmers.
For me, the land, as a farmer, it means to me that it's like my child's. There's no difference. My child and the land are the same thing to me.
Since the wall went up, Assam has not been permitted to reach his land. He was denied a permit to pass through the gate that separates him from his land for security reasons.
It's the first greenhouses over there. Also, this trees is mine, beside the greenhouses. All these trees also is mine. This area is mine, my area. We don't support the terrorists, we don't support anything. We just want to live, and to get a better life for our children in the future.
The relation between the farmer and his land is very important. It's not only his source of living, but all the stories of the people, dreams, is mixed with the soil.
I have 50 acres behind the wall. This piece of land is Al-Manasim Valley. Plot number 2, piece number 135. My father and my ancestors have owned this land for hundreds of years. I went around 1:30 p.m. and I found bulldozers working in my land. I said, "What are you doing in my land? What do you want? And how did you get here?" they asked. I told them that I'm the owner of this land, and I have all the official papers to indicate that. And I have a permit to get here. "This is the land of Israel," they responded. "No," I said, "this is not the land of Israel. The land of Israel is after the green line. This is a Palestinian land, and we are free to work in it."
All our land was taken behind the wall. We raised the case with the Israeli High Court that this is our land and nobody has the right to work in it or to cut it or to keep it away from us. Israeli High Court gave the decision that this is your land, you can grow it, you can do whatever you like. This is your farm, this is your land, so you can do whatever you like in your land. But unfortunately, as you see, there is no gate. We cannot reach it. We cannot do anything. Even the olive trees, we could not this year, we could not even collect the olive fruits.
The reason is that they want us to leave the land. This land is a fertile land. It has a water and all this, so they want to take all these sources of life.
The Israelis want more land, and the Israelis try to confiscate the empty lands from homes. That's why you could notice that the route of the wall is close to the homes, and the agricultural land is behind the law to the Israeli side. They want to make their farming work too difficult and force them to leave the land.
The way the wall is being built now is only going to serve to divide and to build mistrust and miscommunication, and it's going to create a social catastrophe as well as a humanitarian problem.
But as I say, everything is uncertain, we don't know.
World Vision has been working in the occupied territories since 1975. Recently, they've seen increased hardship in the Palestinian communities where they work.
The work of World Vision is to provide hope in the midst of despair and to give people alternatives to feeling despair. The wall is working against that and breeding despair in the communities we serve. If we can encourage our governments from a faith-based perspective to take the right position on this wall, it will only be to everyone's interest. It will be to Israel's interest, it will be to the Palestinians' interest, it will be for the U.S. national interest, and for the world's security.
And I hope that the American people, especially in the churches, will pray and will seek God's wisdom and then move into advocacy, write to their congressman or woman, write to the president, write to officials in the Israeli government, and have these officials do their utmost to stop the wall. This wall will not bring peace. This wall will not make good neighbors. This wall will not bring security to the Jewish people. It is dividing Palestinians from Palestinians. And of course, it's also dividing Palestinians from Israelis. Not all Palestinians think Israelis are enemies, and not all Israelis think Palestinians are enemies.
Palestinians are not alone in their search for a peaceful solution without a wall. Numerous Israeli groups recognize that the pain of conflict is cyclical.
So first of all, resuming negotiations with the Palestinians because there is a partner. I speak with Palestinians all the time. I go to villages, I go to cities and towns, and there are still people that are willing to speak with us. There are still people that are willing to face some of the most touchy issues like the refugee problem, like, splitting Jerusalem. I think we have to speak with each other, otherwise it won't work. That's the first and foremost step that we have to take.
I'm afraid I don't see eye to eye with the Israeli government about security. I lost my daughter because there was no security. I lost my daughter because there is no peace. I lost my daughter and there is no peace because there is no security. And there is no security because my people oppressing and occupying other people for the last 35 years. I always say there is no forgiveness on earth for the killing of children, of innocent children, no matter what the reason is. If you put your pain on the table trying to show whose pain is bigger, you won't get anywhere. The only way out of this cycle of violence is not looking back, is looking forward.
This struggle continued more than 50 years now. It's bloodshed continued every time with the new tools, with the new generations who are victimized from this kind of policy. Both should come to the conclusion. This is attack will never reach our future, because naturally you can destroy a very high building in a couple of days, but to build it you need years. The same with peace and violence, which means we need more work to build peace between the people.